this is a sweet. A candy for those of you unfortunate enough to be American. Specifically, this is a Barnett's Mega Sour, and it was ranked by CandyStore.com to be the 4th most sour sweet in the world. Well, I disagree with that, personally. I've tried what they put at number 1, and I think that this, I have a whole quart of these, I think that these are worse. But, for good measure, I went and got what they call the worst in the world. Come on, I didn't clickbait you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to react to a video that's... I don't know if legendary or infamous would be a better description, but I'm going to react to an old video from Cubing YouTube, the 2016 US National Seminar that Chris Tran gave about ZZCT. And anytime Chris Tran spreads misinformation, I'm going to eat a toxic waste, because I think these are the more mild ones. Anytime he spreads a very large piece of misinformation, however, I'm going to have a Mega Sour. They don't actually sell these straight to consumers, I don't think. You have to buy, like, the big tubs of them that they have at, like, corner store sweet shops. So I had to, like, go to a town that had a corner store sweet shop, go in and get a quarter of these. These you could just buy off the shelf anywhere. So here's the deal. I don't want to just nick the entire video by sitting in a corner and letting the entire thing play. I also don't want this video to just be a compilation of me eating the sweets, so I'm probably going to cut out some dead space, but not all of it, try my best to provide as much commentary as I can. But at the end of the day, this is a reaction video. You can only be, you know, so honest about it.
In 2009, I proved to the world that ZBLL is possible, because before that, it wasn't possible. And I predicted that in the future, people are going to use ZBLL and solve last layer in one step and whatever. And you see people, there's like 7 people who use ZBLL now. In the past year, Anthony Brooks knows all of it. Other people know all of it. Callum Hales Jabari knows even more last layer than he did last year. People are learning all these algs. They know so many algs, and people do last layer in one step, and it's easy these days. So
I feel like we got to start with the toxic waste for that one, because I think saying, you know, 7 people in the world have achieved this thing, it's easy these days, is a bit of cap. So, here's to the first. Yep. Oh, that's a familiar taste. I've eaten too many of these in my life. I might take the glasses off. As you can see, my expression's better.
the future I predicted has come. We are in the future now. So what we need to do is go into the future beyond the future. We need to do LL skips every time. Yeah. So my talk today is going to be about my new
count
method.
that one as well.
ZZ.
That's kind of cap. Okay, I think I'm taking the shades off so you can see my expressions better. That is cap because, like, you have to solve the last layer properties, right? You're not skipping it. If anything, what you're doing is you're doing an OLL step that's OLL plus one piece and a PLL step that's PLL plus one piece. So at the end of the day, you're just skipping last slot. You're skipping fourth pair, Chris, not last layer. Well, we've already got one. We still have one. Let's pick a different color. We already have one. Let's double down. Add a second. We have a black cherry toxic waste now. From my memory, these were the worst ones. The black cherry. Let's see if that still holds true. Tamer than I remember. Yeah. Maybe that one was just a dud, but it's a lot tamer than I remember it being.
CT, and I'm going to do a brief intro, and the statistics are where it's really, really good at. And then I'm going to finish off with some concluding statements and specifics, and I'll throw in a few inspirational stuff.
The statistics are really where it's good at, because it ain't good for solving.
Here and there. So let's get started. It was like,
right, okay. Most of the section is going to be cut out because Chris is basically just waffling about like his backstory for why he made it and talking about the idea of optimization. What I'm now going to do, because toxic wastes have a sour coating, a fruity sweet and then more sour on the inside. I'm now going to bite down on both of the ones I have in my mouth and get the sour from both of them at the same time. Yeah. That shouldn't make me as happy as it makes me. God. I like sour sweets, man. No, I forgot to change the scene. I forgot to make me big. No. I'm just sat in the corner.
It's totally possible. Like, who says these things aren't possible? Like, everyone says, oh, all the good methods, they're already discovered. There are no rules.
No comment. I think we've had some big methods come through that really didn't deliver much. I think maybe Nautilus and APB maybe have potential still, but I feel like since 2016... I mean, okay, this was not the method to break the all the good methods have already been discovered statement. This did not break through.
So let me tell you about the method itself. So once I get to the last slot, can someone scramble this? I swear I'm not going to use a prepared scramble.
Oh, wait, hang on. I can
I'm
follow
going to
along.
get to last
I
slot
did the
from
same
ZZ.
method. I could do
And
this. I could do this
usually
too.
in last slot, the normal way to do it is you look for an edge and a corner, and you look at the permutation of these pieces, and you ignore orientation. Why? We do that because people told us that was a good way to do it, and we just followed blindly. What if we took that and flipped it on its head? What if we look at orientation, forget about permutation, let's not even look at a corner, only look at one edge, because it takes time to find two pieces. No, just find one piece.
It also takes time to
Look
find
at
corner orientation of
and
all
just
5
put that
corners.
edge using an F2L alg. And the second step is, let's just put the corner in a certain way that just solves everything. Easy. And all the things you need to know is every single edge slot can be solved with 3 RUR prime, RU prime, R, those trigger moves. You all know what moves I'm talking about. And 3 is the upper bound. There's like 2 cases with 4, but you just learn an alg for those. So for every case, it's either 2 or 3 triggers. And we all...
Every case can be solved in 3 triggers or less. Except for the ones you can't where you learn an alg. That is a whole bunch of cap. We are grabbing... There's a lot of the yellow ones up at the top. I think it might be because I got the yellow barrel. But I want to get a different flavour. Green. What do we got? We got sour apple. Yeah, we got apple. Cheers, Chris. Yeah. That's worse than black cherry. Fuck. Alright. This is the worst so far. Okay. It's fading now. Apple is actually so much worse than black cherry. I don't know what I was thinking black cherry was the worst. I was just wrong.
Those are easy to memorize. Just trigger 1, U prime, trigger B, soon, anti-soon, U prime, slot. It's so simple. And all you had to do was think outside the box. You don't even have to do your last slot in a predetermined order. You just build blocks as the most efficient way and leave one slot open. And the cool thing is, you can adjust the D layer to suit that slot. No rotations. The same theme stays prevalent in ZZ. No rotations whatsoever. What baffles some people is that some of these cases are really short. You can get 7 move last layers, or putting the corner in and solving the last layer. 7, 8 moves.
There's
Some of the
cases
cases are just
moves.
the normal F2L
There's
algs.
2 cases that are 7 moves.
And I actually have a theory about this. So PLL solves only 6 pieces at most. If you look at your algs, N perm moves 4 pieces, G perm moves 6 pieces, T perm moves 4 pieces, E perm moves 4. PLL only moves 6 pieces. The cube is really close to being a solved state. And a few of your PLLs are over 20 moves. They're fast because of ergonomics. A big trap that cubers fall into is move count versus ergonomics. So if we look at another set, such as ZBLL, ZBLL solves 8 pieces. And if you notice the average move count of ZBLL, it's lower than PLL. And we start to see a trend here. The more entropy, which is a measure of disorder in a
I
state,
don't think that's...
it seems...
So the number that you're using for method dev with ZBLL is like 16.5, right? Because you want to use speed optimal ZBLLs, not move optimal ZBLLs. A lot of the Terry ZBLLs are pretty rough to execute consistently. It's something like... Oh, God. Okay, sorry. The toxic waste, like the sour, like, internal part just... Yeah. Okay, so with method dev, I think it's like 16.5 or like... maybe like 15, 14 kind of area. I'm pretty sure PLL's move count is like 13 without pre-post AUF. Like high 13, 30.9. So I'm actually not sure if that's true. I'm going to be like fact-checking myself. It will be here in the edit on screen if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that's just straight up incorrect. It's misinformation, no! I'm only going to give it a small one. I'm not going to have a Mega Sour because I think he might have been getting at the idea that ZBLL was more efficient than OLL PLL. But he said it was more efficient than PLL. So it's a toxic waste. I dropped it. No, no, no. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? It's in my sleeve. Oh, it's gone. There's all hairs on it. Alright, new toxic waste. It's the same flavour. Nothing changed. Alright. Back in we go.
that these algs get shorter and shorter. And if you look at OLL and PLL algs, you're breaking up the F2L, putting stuff together, and then putting it back into F2L. Well, why? It goes back to the rules. Why do we have to do that? Why don't we start from the middle, from a really broken up state, put stuff together, and then put it back in? My method has a less move count than ZBLL for the last step. It's actually 2 or 3 more moves, which is inconsequential. But for the last step, it moves 9 pieces. Do you see where I'm going with this? I think I have a theory that the more pieces you move, the better the algs are. Why do we have to approach it from such an ordered state?
I think the better the algs are might be a bit of a misnomer. But I think he is correct about move count. Pretty sure TTL average move count is like 14.5, which, if you take like the 16 number that you're working with for ZBLL, yeah, TTL wins that.
Forgot to give you an example. Where was the scrambled cube? We'll take a step back. Oh, here it is.
Scrambled cube. I could do the same thing.
Like I said, this is totally on the fly. I'm running on 2-3 hours of sleep. So I'm going to give you an example solved with some walkthrough.
Watch Chris do it, and I'll do it
More about
myself.
the science and the reasons why rotational symmetry drops cases so low. So the first step in ZZ is to make an EO line.
It was correct at the time. Do I have to count that one? First step in ZZ is ear across. I'm popping a black cherry toxic waste right now. Let me get rid of the lemon one first. Right. Straight into an up. Okay. On we go.
Thank you, sir. So I have all of my edges oriented with respect to white front, green bottom, Michael Humu logo. And now I'm going to get to F2L -1. And I do that by block building. So now I have
That doesn't
F2L
count. That's an extension of your line. That
You
doesn't
see
count.
that this is my last slot, and this is my top. And the way
Okay. Let me get to last one as well, because that doesn't really matter as much, but I'm going to do it with ear across. So I gave myself kind of a gnarly hand scramble here, because we already have this line across here that's solved with opposite centers, and this one here, this edge here that's solved with opposite centers, and a 2-flip on top. So just going to go ahead and solve ear across like so. I see that immediately we have this pairing to the front, a nice 6 mover. Pretty nice. Now I'm also at last slot.
recognize this is, it looks like an OLL.
We can do better than that. Come on.
So I
Explain
just
more.
inserted the edge and oriented the top. And you see how F2L is not solved? I'm going to insert this corner.
Okay. So my TSLE here. How do I get like the right angle for the camera? Like here. The TSLE case, you see, it looks kind of like a soon, except you have like this corner would be wrong. This corner have to be the other way, and you have the edge at the front. So it's kind of like you with the edge facing at the front, and also this tail if you want to do it like that. For this case, I actually don't use triggers. I use an RUD alk like that. But apart from that, you know, identical. It's the same idea. It's still TSLE.
In a way that solves everything. LL skip guaranteed every time. So, I'm going to explain rotational symmetry now. So the reason H case is less cases than T case is because if you do a U2, the orientation is the same. And the reason PLL has only 21 algs to solve all those 80-something cases is you can do U and rotate it, and along all four faces, it's the same orientation. So if you abuse this, you can get a lot of cases solved with very few algs. And if you've noticed or you've tried to make methods yourselves, the algorithm count balloons straight up when complexity goes up, and that's because you've broken orientation. If you use a method like ZZ where stuff is...
Meta.
Did I mention the recognition is just like PLL? It looks like a PLL, so you don't have to learn anything new. So with ZBLL, you have to learn 400 blocks, new methods, recognition methods, all kinds of memory methods, and you have to get...
I mean, low key for ZBL, you just kind of look at it. Oh, but Swagrid, you don't know full ZBL? No, but I know full USET, and I recognize it by just kind of looking at the cube.
Let's go back to that 36 number. 36 is getting into the realm of easy. If you know PLL, it goes even lower. So...
Is it? I'll admit, this whole segment here about the 36 is what actually sold me on DZCT back when I watched this seminar in like 2017, 2018 myself. I saw this part and I was like, ooh, very exciting. I couldn't learn full PLL at the time. I couldn't learn full PLL, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna learn full ZZCT. I actually finished learning PLL after I finished ZZCT. Aye.
If you ever see a 1 by 1 by 3 conjugate, 1 by 1 by 3 block with a corner on the top, it's a one-move PLL conjugate. And the cool thing is that
some of them
move
still
can
are.
actually cancel at the end. And these conjugates are actually really simple. There's a J perm that starts with R prime. What if you started it with R? Oh my God, it becomes something that inserts that corner and solves everything. I'm serious, that's one of my algs. But what if you did G perm with an R prime instead of R, and vice versa? Well,
I still use that
now
alg.
you need two more.
Hang on. I still use that alg. That's this TTL case here. It looks like an F perm with the block on the right, and it's the GD perm, the RUD GD perm, but it starts with an R prime. And you do the rest of the alg normally with my terrible turning. You then just end with like UD prime R2. That's the alg.
Cases, I'm going to tell you about statistics, and that's where this really, really shines.
I love this part. This is where the method is actually good.
33% of these algs are two.
Cap.
33% of the time.
Immediate cap. Okay. This is why he was talking about the whole thing with rotations. 33% of the algs are pseudo-rotationless, where if you do like a UD prime or a Y prime rotation, then they're rotationless. This is because if you have this set of TTLs where the corners on the front are opposite to each other, they're all 2-gen. But then, of course, if you have this set where the corners on the right are 2-gen, well, you could just rotate to make that be corners on front. So then they're also 2-gen. But they're not actually 2-gen, they're pseudo 2-gen. You have to rotate or do moves to set it up to be 2-gen. So this one is misinformation. And it's not that bad, but I have seen quite a few people that think that, for some reason, corner permutation is solved 1/3 of the time, like, in general. Like, when you're talking about ZBLL or PLL or just cubing, they think it's 33% of the time because they heard this and misinterpreted it. I think it's time. Normally I get a lemon mega sours, but I went for apple this time. I don't know why. Here we go. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. Okay. Okay. You know, not only are these like more sour than these, they're a lot larger as well. These are like really small discs. Really small discs versus like large balls. So the issue with having large balls in your mouth is that you can't like move them away. The thing with a small disc is like you can just like move it to the side, like put it like between your teeth and your cheek, and it's fine. You're not feeling it. You have to feel it. You have to get the sour from these at all times. And it lasts long. I think these are like 15 seconds, and these are like 20, 25. That's one down. Why did I get a quarter?
You get a pure 2-gen solution. And if you've looked at the records these days, those are pretty fast times. You're gonna need luck to beat those. So why wouldn't you want to use a method that has luck on your side?
For the record, and we have the benefit of hindsight, people are going to be doing the same thing to us like 10, 15 years from now. For the record, these were the records Chris Dram was talking about here. The ones that you will need luck to beat: a 490 single by Lucas Edder at a 645 average by Felix Zemdegs. Nowadays, the single would put you 124th in the world, and the average 110th. It's actually not horrible, but a lot of people have beaten those records by just being better at cubing. I mean, Jiang Wang beats this average every time he competes. He's just better. I mean, we also have drastically better hardware, but we did improve at cubing quite a lot since 2016.
Like, one out of 360 is like once per year, like in a competition. So we can push that.
One out of 360 solves means you're going to get once per year. I mean, I get it if you're doing like one solve a day. You'll probably get it like once per year, because 365 days, 360 solves. In a competition, I mean, okay, how many rounds of 3x3 would you have to compete in to get that, right? So, you need to compete in 72 rounds. 72 rounds of 3x3 to get a guaranteed last layer skip with base CCCT. If we just assume you make all 3 rounds of 3x3 in every comp, that's 24 comps a year, that's 2 a month, you're competing every other week to guarantee that last layer skip. And I still have the Mega Sour on the go, but now I have to put up Toxic Waste as well. Cheers for this. Ah.
And that's it.
Okay. Alright. That's it. That's the video done. Honestly, there was less major misinformation than I expected there to be. There was quite more minor misinformation than at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 toxic wastes and 1 mega sour. There was a lot more minor misinformation than I expected. Not much major misinformation. Jeez.
Hey everyone, it's Swagrid the day after recording that past video that you just watched. I want to say that the bag I had the Mega Sours in, I left some of them in, and it appears to have corroded through the bag. These segments here are now translucent, you can see through them, when they're supposed to be, pink and white stripes, and if I touch them, finger gets a little bit sticky, and if I taste this, I can taste the sour. So, yeah, that's just a mega sour's sit rep, I guess.